Hello and welcome to Zeta Chivalry 2 survival runs, usually. Today is something different. It's Sekiro survival run of the most challenging gauntlet. That means that I will be going through all the bosses inside the game, except a few gimmicky ones like the dragon, which is more like a puzzle instead of a challenge. So Mortal Journey is the gauntlet I will be doing. Again, I'm not a speedrunner or something, so yeah, I do whatever is needed. Usually try it myself and then just apply the knowledge. This is the game basically where parrying is the most important skill, and knowing the boss moves and also reacting to them is the most important skill you can have. And also, you know, you can cheese some of the bosses, but it's probably easier to learn how to counter the boss instead of cheesing it. So first boss is Guyobo Oniwa, a pretty easy boss, probably the easiest boss in the game. Especially when you start the game first time, you are low HP, but still this one is not really challenging that much. Pips on the top represent basically the number of times I have to kill the opponent with that final move. However, that can also represent another health bar, so if you like it this way. So yeah, so usually the bosses have 2 pips, sometimes 3. And the final boss is, well, let's say 3 plus 1, 4 pips. By the way, I'm a bit rusty, I haven't played the game in ages, but still I remember some of the moves. Just reaction timing might not be very good at the beginning, but you can be the judge of that. So yeah, and if you're new and haven't played this game, so the way to kill the opponent is to either remove the health from it, or just, you know, break the posture, and the posture is the top yellow bar. So that means that after posture is done, he just lies down and accepts the death blow. So yeah, that's the mechanic if you're interested. So the second death blow and the first boss goes into the annals of history. Again, as I said, it's the easiest one. So next up is a Lady Butterfly. Arguably I would rank it as a medium tier boss. So for newer players, that's probably where they find it most difficult and have to learn the dodging, the parrying. Otherwise, it's really hard and tedious to beat this boss. Unless you do some cheesing, but if you don't do cheese, it's a bit harder for newcomers. So yeah, Lady Butterfly, here we are. So yeah, it's a bit different. Instead of being one big blob, it's quite a mobile boss. Also, I do buff myself with some sugars. Basically what they give is some, I'm not sure, around 12 to 30% of damage, and as well posture damage on the enemy. As well as that purple glow, that's Divine Confetti. It gives a chip damage on the enemy, as well additional damage when you attack with your sword, but not with your prosthetic tools. Or with your combat arts. So the prosthetic tools here are quite crucial. This is a quite mobile boss, so usually using the shuriken is very good when the boss is mid-air. That way you can simply also do damage to posture and stop the enemy from doing some nasty moves on you. So yeah, this is the end of the first health for the Lady Butterfly. However, in the next stage she has some tricks up her sleeve, additional ones. So it will take a bit longer to finish off. But again, once you are knowledgeable and know the moveset of the enemies, it's a bit easier. However, still you react incorrectly and then receive damage. So yeah, I'm not a speedrunner again. I don't know the most optimal way. I'm just doing it the way I feel. So like here, I actually lost quite a few health points because I missed my counter to the move. And now I'm trying to find the one item that can actually remove all those ghosts, and that's a snap seed. So yeah, let's see how that works. So as you see, I'm not particularly doing a speed runs or something, I'm just playing as it is. Although it's definitely not the most effective way, but just showing you that Chivalry 2 survival skills are actually transferable to other games too. So yeah, as you know, in order to access this Mortal Journey gauntlet, you have to do at least 3 playthroughs, after which you are awarded 1 gauntlet. So that's 3 different endings. One is Shura, one is Dragon Homecoming, and the third one, I think that's where Sekiro sacrificed himself. So not Immortal Severance, but where Sekiro sacrificed himself. Purification. Oh yeah, so that's what it is. So after those 3 endings, you do receive 3 gauntlets, and once you finish them, then you can have the Mortal Journey. So now the boss is dead. Again, a bit more difficult, challenging than Guabonio, but not by much. For new players, that's definitely a mid-tier boss. And I went to the 3rd boss, which in my view, it's still a mid-tier, but it's easier than Lady Butterfly. For me, at least. Although again, I'm a bit rusty, so I might not land all the necessary parries. Although if you're interested, I did finish the game with both Charmless and the Demon Bell. So what that means for all people who haven't played the game is basically once you finish the game, you are asked on the 2nd playthrough if you want to return the Kuro Charm to the Divine Air. Well, that means that after you can't simply block because you'll receive cheap damage on every hit. I mean, usually in Sekiro there are hits that you can only parry and not block, like the Perilous Thrust, for example. You can do Mikiri counter usually, but you can also parry it. Also other things like special moves. I mean, not for this boss, but for example, the inner Genichiro, he does use Mortal Draw, and also some other moveset that can only be parried but not blocked. I mean, you can block, but you receive chip damage anyway. And for thrust, you cannot block at all, you have to parry. So yeah, back to Kuro Charm. What it does is, I mean, every block on any hit delivers you chip damage, quite substantial. It's around 15% of your HP. That means you have to learn to parry really a lot. So on my 2nd playthrough I did that with with Demon Bell and Charmless. So Charmless, you know what it is, and now part of Demon Bell. So Demon Bell is actually accessible. You can start immediately with it, provided you have to go to a certain location and just ring a bell. What it does, it increases the maximum posture and maximum health for bosses. So it takes a longer time to remove that posture or health from the boss. That's basically. So the ultimate challenge is to finish the game with Demon Bell and Charmless. So I did that, although to be fair, I could not finish the last boss, the Ishin Sword Saint. And yeah, because I was cheesing beforehand and not actually playing. However, after that, I had to learn back what Ishin does, and now I can finish him. I mean, I removed the Bell Charm and removed the so both Bell and the Charm, and then finished the Ishin from the first time. So yeah, so that's from my playthrough with Demon Bell and Charmless. Genshiro Shina is already down both of his health. Now it's at the 3rd stage, so no spoilers, but yeah, he can revive himself because he's sort of like Sekiro. He dies twice. This time he dies 3 times. But to be honest, I'm not really sure, but 3rd stage, the stage where you can do lightning reversals, it's probably my most favorite part because it's much easier than the 2nd stage of usually Ishin and Genichiro as well. So yeah, maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel. So yeah, this stage not particularly hard, but again, I lost some HP. He wanted to do additional lightning move, although that wasn't good enough because he died. So Genichiro Shina, a very good boss, very well done. I mean, this game is amazing. I mean, the way bosses and enemies are done, it just amazes me. That's absolute gem of a game. Have in mind, this game was released in 2019, and you can find it on sale most of the time. So next boss down the line is I think it's a Guardian Ape, is it? Yeah, it's a Guardian Ape. So really iconic and interesting boss. So the idea is, I mean, if you just keep him running, I mean, he has plenty of surprises. Like he can throw his own feces at you and also do some fluctuance release. So yeah, but other than that, well, it's not cheesing. I mean, I'm fighting, but skipping the first stage, a bit quicker, let's say. Not a speedrun way, because they have some sort of like 4 move reset, whatever. They do like really incredibly fast. This was fast too. Yeah. But no worries, it's not done yet, so the boss is a bit harder. But still, if you don't immediately attack him with that flurry, you'll in for some quite a long fight actually. It's quite mobile. Now second stage is arguably easier, at least for me, because I fight it much more often. You cannot simply come in and just focus down the enemy. You have to react to its special move that actually a very quick swing downwards, and then you can use your prosthetic, the thrust type spear, to remove that centipede. So if you haven't played the game, so this is a spoiler, that all the immortal ones have centipedes in them. Though at least those ones that are not have the dragon blood. So I do have a dragon blood, so Sekiro has from divine air blood, so he doesn't have a centipede. At least that's what I think. I'm not really sure. Again, all those, you know, Japanese soul games have some really, let's say, interesting, not believable, but let's say their own interesting lore. But yeah, that's why this guy revived, and I removed the centipede by using my spear. So again, quite easy boss. But the first stage is actually harder, although I didn't give him much time to do some shenanigans on us. So yeah, this is done. But have you seen Sekiro used his sword and not the mortal blade? Well, okay, he has 2 swords on the back. One is for normal opponents and the other is for immortal opponents. So clearly this one was immortal, and since Sekiro used his own weapon but not the mortal blade, then we'll meet the boss again. Also, there's another issue. So Sekiro, you see, all the bosses, they suffer very little damage from Sekiro's weapon. So it seems like when Kuro, the Dividing Air, gave Sekiro the sword, he forgot to sharpen it. Otherwise it doesn't make sense why guys who stand there, I mean, for like ages and ages, they still have sharper weapons that can two-shot me. Whereas I have to, you know, deliver maybe 5% of damage with each hit. Maybe. But yeah, interesting gameplay mechanic. It's like if in other Souls game you can still buff yourself to deliver, maybe you can one-shot enemies, you can three-shot bosses and so on. I mean, not always, but sometimes. Whereas here, it's impossible. So yeah, unless you're doing some sort of cheesing, like for this boss you can make him blind and then just insta-kill him. But that's for speedrunners. I like to use Laser Little Axe instead, so it delivers a lot of damage, especially to Apparition type. Apparition basically all those ghosts. This is Apparition type, and then that's why it receives additional damage bonus and also some stun. Although stun I think only works 3 times. But again, this moveset is very important not to cheese but to learn it, because you meet additionally the True Monk, which you'll have 3 stages to work with. So yeah, so far so good. Not particularly challenged this one, because just 1 health, which is helpful. Now Great Shinobi, again, not a hard boss, so I rate it actually easier than Genichiro. But it takes a longer time to finish, because he just a little bit more mobile than Genichiro. He just goes back, and then that means I'll have to chase him down and then spend a lot of time not damaging and not building up posture for the enemy. So that's the only thing. It's more tedious, but it's not harder. Except 1 move. Now this move, when the owl does use the fireworks, it's very important to learn to dodge to front and right. Otherwise, like this one, otherwise you'll be hit. And this move, especially for this gauntlet, it will be in 3 bosses. So there's this owl, then there will be Hirata owl, then also the inner father, or again the same owl but with additional moveset. So you have to learn that. Again, a bit longer than Genichiro, you see, because he's blocking, he's jumping away, so yeah, I cannot damage his posture or HP. A bit more tedious. By the way, if you are not aware what that thing, that baseball that father drops in this particular fight, it basically stops you from healing, so you cannot use healing items. And that's especially cruel for new players, but for me, it's not a problem. So first health bar down. Now there's second stage. A bit annoying when the owl uses smoke, so you cannot see when attacks are coming. And also you lose the lock on the enemy. So, I mean, in this game, camera is not the best. It's good, but it's not the best. And the reason we cannot really see much, especially when there's a big enemy just cornering you, I mean, camera just works against you. You can't see anything, you can't block, you can't see what's happening. And yeah, so camera could use some improvement. Also, camera stops you from cheesing. Because if you, I mean, sometimes, well, last boss you can cheese with one specific moveset, just avoid it and then deliver damage. Well, I don't know, for me with that camera I just couldn't find the correct way, but it doesn't matter, I learned how to do it the normal way. And if you know how to do it, you know, in a fair fight, you don't need to cheese. So yeah, one health bar down, now this on the second health, additional movesets, again like with many bosses. Not much though, except that a bit annoying poison, now being thrown inside the shurikens. Also, by the way, if you for some reason die once, right? So most of the bosses are very gracious and let you heal if you heal up immediately. But don't wait. Except one boss, Emma. She does not let you heal, so you'll see by the way. So yeah, I'm a bit rusty again, but this boss is not hard. It's like average. Yeah, it's not hard. Now, Mortal Draw is quite good moveset to remove health if you are not breaking posture and enemy is a bit mobile. So you can go for damaging the enemy's health instead. Yeah, again, smoke. And now let's go to the next boss. Now, arguably the next boss, I mean, again, I'm not very familiar with, and that's Emma. And the reason I'm not familiar with is because usually on all playthroughs, only in one playthrough you can fight those bosses. There are two bosses, basically Emma and Ishina. So those ones are only available if you play sure ending, sort of bad ending. But it's not yet the time yet, it's a headless ape, sorry about that. But now, if you remember, Sekiro used not Mortal Blade, but actually his own blade to finish off the Guardian Ape the first time. That's why he respawned. So let's not make a mistake here. Again, first stage is the same as the last stage on the previous boss. However, on the second stage there is a surprise waiting. Again, I don't often play this boss. I usually skip it for my favorite through by visiting this area first and then going into Guardian Ape second. So the place where the ape has still head attached. But it doesn't matter. Again, this is sort of easy part. Although I do take unnecessary hits and my parrying is not on point. If you don't parry right when the overhead is coming, then enemy will not sort of lie down on the ground and expose his neck for you to use. You know, practice your poking with a spear. So yeah, a bit iffy fight, not the best from my part. Also missing quite a few crucial moments here and there. But again, I'm not a speedrunner, and this boss is not very familiar to me, in the second stage especially. Unfortunately, I was not able to stop the Guardian Ape going back to the wall. Now that means it will be a bit harder fight. Now I'll have to fight two apes at the same time. The second one is sort of first stage of the previous Guardian Ape encounter, although smaller. And I have to dodge. I mean, this is hard, sort of, when both apes are attacking. So I have to quickly finish off the small one. You know, killing the weaker one first. But still, the big one is actually delivering a lot of damage, and that's not pretty cool. So yeah, using prosthetics and trying to break posture of the smaller ape. although it's not as easy. Finally, it's down. Is it down? Yes, it's down. Not down yet. Finally. So now, after this ape is gone, then the second one is just a repeat of what we had in the first stage. However, I don't have thrusting, so I use the specific item, the Tanto, to increase the resource that allows me to use prosthetics. And just, you know, trying to heal as much as I can. So yeah, this stage is a repeat of the first stage. After the second ape is gone, just need to time correctly the main move, the overhead, like so. And yeah, it delivers incredible posture damage as well as health damage. I think only 3 are needed to kill the enemy. Yeah. But again, amazing, you know, amazing design of the enemy. If you're wondering what are those purple things on the ground, that's somebody recorded what they do here. Some other players. This is online gameplay, so you can see recordings of other players. And yeah, this is what it is. You can watch what they do. Sometimes they show you a neat trick how to do some cheesing, for example, or skip areas, or get some hidden loot. Basically that's what it is. And we're on to the next boss. So yeah, so far so good. Although you've seen I was quite low on health, except I also had a second wind. So as you know, shadows die twice, that's the name of the game. So once you die once, you can be revived. Unless one specific enemy drains, you know, gives you some really important, well, not a buff, debuff. But there's no such enemy here in Mortal Journey. So the second one, the next boss, is Emma. She does not let you heal, and you'll see what I mean by that. So yeah, again, not particularly familiar with this boss, because it's only available on Shura game. And yeah, you see, first time I die once. And I decided to stop playing nice and use my prosthetics. And usually that's how it is. If you stun the enemy, you can use the Mortal Draw, because it takes time to draw your Mortal Blade. But after fireworks, enemies stun for a brief moment when you can use it. Also, if you use both prosthetics and combat arts in mid-air, you'll deliver additional posture and health damage. So this is important. But you have to unlock it. I mean, you can't immediately from get-go start using it. You have to unlock it. So yeah, Emma is a bit tough otherwise, but not because it has a great moveset. It's just that I'm not really particular experienced with this enemy. It just has only one pip, so I didn't invest much time. So yeah, this is how we done it. Again, a bit challenging boss in terms of it has a small, it's a small enemy, quite mobile, and a very small blade. So you know, it's like when it's Chivalry, you have to play against folks that have one-handed weapons and that are concealed. Sort of, it's really hard to react, especially from third-person view. So this is the same issue here. Small blade, hard to react. Yeah, and a quick one. And now another boss, which is only available in Sure Ending. That's Shina. Except I find him relatively easy. By the way, you have to learn those bosses just so, because at least 3 or 4 movesets are identical for all Ishin versions. So the last boss, also this boss, share a lot of moves. Unfortunately, I couldn't time my Ichimonji parry, but that's okay. Again, enemy posture is broken, and yeah, we're on to the second stage. Second stage is arguably harder, just because of that additional fire stuff. But again, if you just play smart, it's not a problem. Just avoid his moveset when he tries to use those fire stuff, because the ground might get on fire. And some of them you cannot dodge effectively. Also had some leftover resources to use my combat arts, but they're not necessary. Just whenever an enemy does a Chimonji, you have to react accordingly. Now here camera played a foul trick on me again. I was in the corner and then could not dodge from that move. Again, this is the thing you have to get used to, and just don't get cornered against. Don't just die, but just don't get cornered. And that again, the first time I played Shura ending, I tried to cheese him, and yeah, it's possible to cheese this boss, but again, it's not really interesting or satisfying to use cheeses. At least for a boss that is that easy. Yeah, but again, you see it's already 2/3 of HP down. And Ichimonji, now this is the one you have to look for. That you can block on the first stage but not on the second because of the fire damage. Again, I'm not, too well versed in this particular game. I mean, I'm not a speedrunner on all the combat arts, no, but I'm sufficient. Yeah, this move just got me. I forgot that this guy can do it, but it's okay. See, it's not critical. I have plenty, like 5. I mean, I can heal 5 times from healing God still. So yeah, not too hard boss, although it's the last boss, and it was once hardest for me when I try to cheese. But when I don't cheese, it's easy. It's let's say, I would say upper medium or even lower hard tier enemy. But he's done, so let's move to the next one. Again, if I played Shura endings more, I would probably face him more often. However, I don't, so again, a bit rusty. But still, I find this enemy a bit more predictable and easier than Emma, to be honest. Let's hop on to the next enemy. So next enemy is 2 monks, so that's definitely a hard boss, but only, again, the first time you meet, you probably curse yourself, and there is a reason why you only face 1 pip monk in the beginning, and then the 3 pip one. So yeah, by the way, he jumps, and I parry. You see that? Immediately. Because I know this boss. I mean, I died there multiple times, especially when playing with Charmless. So yeah. And still gets me. I mean, the moveset is very quick. Again, as I said, it seems like Sekiro has a dull blade, because he is, even those divine confettis and additional drugs or the sugars, he delivers around maybe 5%. I'm being generous, maybe 3% of damage, okay, per hit. Whereas the enemy delivers 50% of your damage. So either Sekiro has really low vitality, or just, he has a dull blade. Yeah, so that's the problem. But yeah, first stage is relatively easy. Actually, they both are similar, but I still can't seem to land the... Okay, finally. So the second stage you can opt in there and just fight, but I just, it's not cheesing. You can skip the second stage, just like so. And this is usually what people do, and for a very good reason. But still, at that stage, you can die to additional status effect of terror. Just to be mindful of when the enemy tries to do perilous attack and react accordingly. That's basically it. Let's see. Almost perfect dodge parrying, but not quite. So yeah, that would have delivered even more damage if I played Charmless. But still, I told you it's a hard boss. I have to go back, and enemy has incredible mobility. Jump in and then delivering damage. So yeah, that's the reason I find it one of the harder bosses, especially for newcomers. But again, not for us, because we survived in Chivalry, where also friendlies attack here, so it's easy here. And that's how the monk crumbles. So yeah, good boss, by the way, great design. Also the area is incredible. Yeah, all those trees and the bridge. And yeah, no cheesing, no cheesing. Trust me, I've seen cheese where they lure the enemy to jump down the bridge. Yeah, but we don't do that. Well, let's move on to the next boss. So this is Owl in the true Owl. Or, well, I'm not really sure what's the name, but it's the same basically. In once you do the purification ending, you have to fight this boss. It was by far for me the hardest boss, so it's a hard boss. But trust me, in this mortal journey, there's also additional harder variation of this boss. So I'm okay against this one at the moment. First stage is similar to what we faced already, however, with additional tweaks. So yeah, I see much more mobile, different moveset. Yeah, so I mean, still, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, you know, this boss, after you play it a few times, won't be a problem. But the inner version, the one you don't see usually in playthroughs, like a harder version, it's pretty hard. So yeah, again, this moveset, when he throws 2 shurikens and then proceeds to jump in the air, it's the same moveset from the previous time we engage him. And yeah, so that's why we abuse the same counter to his moveset. Also, I told you already that the moveset where he throws the firecrackers to the front and then proceeds to slice, you need to know how to counter that. Otherwise you'll receive so much damage, you can be insta-killed if you don't learn that. Just because of the sheer amount of damage all the sweeps do, and that follow-up combos. Well, the first stage is done, and the second stage is much harder. Again, playing with a dull blade against opponent which can two-shot you. And like so, teleporting now. So arguably much harder stage. Unless you know some cheese. Again, I'm not cheesing. I'm playing and reacting to the enemy's moveset. Like the way it's supposed to be. You see, I mean, always trying to backstab me. Also, you cannot use stabs here, by the way. Spoiler alert. So if you use stab, then the enemy catches you and does his own Mikiri counter and then insta-kill, almost insta-kills you. Pretty sure if that's Demon Bell, he insta-kills you. But not Demon Bell, it's okay. And that's additional fire owls flying. So the only good thing that enemy does also Mikiri counters, which helps immensely in breaking his posture and damage. And gives you time to react. Yeah, but again, a very well-designed enemy, however not very well-designed, I feel arena is not very good. All those columns, they do sort of exacerbate situation when you're trying to see the enemy. So I think it's not the best, to be honest. This arena could have been improved. So yeah, a really mobile enemy, again like in the first time we met him, so it's really hard to play with him tit for tat, like with Genichiro for example, so that's why it's definitely a hard boss. Like, you have to wait and patiently and conserve your health, and wait for those few times you can actually deliver damage. And then after you countered his firecrackers, he just disappears, vanishes in the air, so you can't really punish that. So yeah, again, much harder version. Again, great design. Overall, the game design, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I don't want to sound like a Souls game hater, but I think this is the best design of all the enemies and lore in the game. At least for me. So yeah, by far one of the most enjoyable games I've played in single player. Oh yeah, see how tedious this is. I mean, I have to spend so much time waiting for that window of opportunity and just not get hit and killed. And this is where usually the newer guys just fall flat in the face, because they want to make the fight go faster, but they can't. That's the point of those mobile you know, enemies that only expose themselves very few times. So yeah, just chipping away at the enemy, trying to... Also, you see his posture is already almost broken. However, he just disappears from behind and just gives a very big FU. However, luckily he does Mikiri, and he does stabs, and then we can do Mikiri counter, which is incredibly helpful. Again, the single most important thing. I mean, the weakness of the enemy. If he knew we'd know Mikiri, he wouldn't have done all those stabs and then lose so much of posture and health. Yeah, finally, boss is history. Again, one of the hardest boss. Great design, but unfortunately not a great area. The area, all those pillars, they're not helping actually. They just make it harder, especially if you're stuck in the corner or behind the pillar, and then you lose the camera focus. Then it's a bit challenging. Yeah, let's move to the next boss. So arguably, you know, everything after this one is easier. So, but this boss, it's a bit unfair. Again, camera issues and so on. So, I'll let you know a secret. This is the only boss I didn't bother to learn to fight. It's a bit unfair. Also, this guy actually gave us all the prosthetics, so that's the law. And then he became rabbit and then just became this, which you see. So instead, we try to use some prosthetics to stun him for a moment, then just run away and lock him behind a tree. And then you'll see a very tedious my attempt of cheese this boss by skipping him. So let me fast forward that. So the way you can skip him is, yeah, you have to get on top of the building and then proceed jumping over the rift onto the other roof. However, that's not as easy as you think it is. So by the top counter of time you can see how long it took, and around 10 attempts at least. So again, I'm not seeing this boss too often, just once in the playthrough if necessary. But again, I don't bother to learn him. I think it's just a bit unfair, and just camera also a bit shaky. You have to stand underneath the boss so you can't see when the enemy weapons are moving. And it's optional as well, so didn't bother to learn anyway. Usually you'll see a lot of those marks where you can see how it's done by just clicking and review how friendlies are doing. So not friendlies but other players who left those purple marks on the ground. But yeah, after many attempts I'll be able also to finish this. And this is again, why I'm doing this. It's on a Mortal journey, so that's the only reason why I'm sipping this boss and this matter. It's not a great design, it's actually, I think, a bit lackluster to be honest. But yeah, let's quickly finish this one and then continue on to the next one. So this is Genichiro again, but now we meet him on the field next to the flowers. So it's actually one pip boss, although he has a Mortal Blade, the black one. Still, it poses absolutely no challenge at all. Usually on normal playthrough you would fight this boss and then proceed to the final boss with the same amount of, with no resting in between. But yeah, at the moment it's not a problem at all. It's, again, I know this boss inside out. So, quite easy. Again, use of Mortal Blade completely unnecessary, but what the hell. Or we can still rest and then replenish all those resources for Mortal Blade. Yeah, that's easy, quite not challenging boss. Just need to be aware that you can't really block well all those special moves with Mortal Blade. He does, except if you have some prosthetics, then you can do that. But again, we don't cheese except the Demon of Hatred. Yeah, we don't cheese otherwise. So yeah, pretty good. Boss is done. So the next boss is Ishin Sword Saint. It's the last boss in your usual playthrough, except for Shura. So he's pretty hard, especially if you want to cheese and so on. It takes a really long time. However, if you play him normally and you try to learn his moveset, he's not that hard, except the second stage is probably the hardest. So the idea is just to try to stick to him and don't let him use too much of his fancy moves, and try to do parries as much as you can. Of course, it doesn't always work out as you want, but the idea is just to keep on there, cling to him, and just break his posture. Otherwise, you can break his health, of course, by just abusing his moveset, but that will take a really long time, which we do not have. The sure way to remove posture is by using Mikiri counters on his perilous stabs, which is probably the single easiest removal of posture, in the game. So yeah, if enemy wouldn't have known that I know Mikiri, they wouldn't have used this moveset. And yeah, this is how the first stage falls, because they just run out of posture, and we finish it. This is after first finished blow. The enemy is arguably in his hardest stage because of that spear he has. He is ambidextrous, he can use spear and sword at the same time with equal proficiency. Actually, the spear, due to its reach, is even more dangerous for you. Also, some of the moves are not blockable, so you can parry them, but not blockable. And that, again, clinging to him is a bit harder, because he has a really long reach, and I haven't figured out yet how to do a proper parrying on his spears. So now also healing is not an option. You saw that enemy just removed all the healing I received by just one sweep attack with the overhead. And that, again, need to break his posture, but in order to do so, I need to catch enemy doing thrust, so I can use Mikiri, or else, do a perfect parry, but that's not very easy, because you have to focus your view on two weapons at once. So yeah, playing with Charmless is even harder. But still. Again, the enemy does Mikiri counters, and that's the weakness they have. Sort of the weakness that they can do stabs, which I can counter and reduce their posture and HP. So yeah, they should learn from that. They should watch my replays and don't do that if they want to survive for longer. But yeah, if you don't do Mikiri, then his fights is harder. Again, those... Now a perfect parry. It was possible to block it now. Again, that moveset only works if you parry, but not when you block. So this is important, again, a distinction between parry and block. Enemy is quite low on not HP but posture. And let's finish it here before enemy tries to deliver more damage on me, because I have a third stage as well I have to fight against. By the way, jumping attacks are not very good. The attacks from standing position deliver more damage than the jumping ones. And now, as I said, the easier stage because of the lightning reversals. If you time it correctly, then enemy just simply stops in its track, and then receives damage. That's like free damage I deliver to the enemy. Although sometimes you do not hit with that lightning reversals. So that additional issue. I'm not sure, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I feel like it's not hitting the enemy. Maybe it's terrain or something. But enemy, again, lightning reversal. Again, enemy hit. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, we see, enemy lost 2/3 of its HP just from lightning reversals. So yeah, he should learn from that and not use his ultimate move, because I'm not a noob. So the fight has ended. Again, as I said, this is not the hardest stage if you know how to do lightning reversals. Otherwise, the second stage is probably the hardest for me. But that's not the end of the Mortal journey. We still have 3 more enemies to fight. And that's the inner versions of Genichiro, Father of the Owl, and then the Ashina Sword Saint. So the inner versions they basically have additional moveset and as well unblockable but parryable attacks. So pretty tough, and also you don't usually fight them in a normal play, so you have to practice with them. practice against them, yeah, whenever you sort of reflection of strength, you can visit the enemies and then fight again the fights against them. So that's a tip against them. But again, we're not cheating, we're fighting like it is. And let's see how it goes. So again, all those versions of enemies that have lightning reversals, they are usually easier for me to handle than the ones that do not. And for Genichiro, again, it's not much different. Again, he has some movesets that I think that's a Sakura dance moveset. So yeah, and that moveset is unblockable, but it's parryable. So you have to time correctly all 3 parries against the moveset. And that's you don't even need to be charmless, but you have to do it like this, otherwise you'll receive damage. Other than that, this enemy is not much harder than the previous version of Genichiro. So great design, except again that small area and the shadow. Sometimes it's harder to react to the enemy. So you have to bear that in mind when you're fighting here. And that, again, enemy has just a one-trick pony with that additional moveset, and that is just the same. You try to stick close to him and just deliver a lot of posture damage by deflecting the shots and then delivering hits in return. So yeah, first health bar down. This enemy, it looks like it has 2 pips, but actually 3. But again, not much problem. Now mistimed my parry on the Sakura dance. So yeah, all those small chips, you know, they do add up. Although that was the first time I used the healing gourd against this enemy. As I said, it's not much different from the previous versions. And yeah, really relieved when enemies using Mikiri. So if you count, when you use enemies using stabs, so you can do Mikiri counters and then stand on the weapon and deliver a lot of posture damage, and also a follow-up hit delivers a lot of damage. Yeah, that's good. That's actually a saving grace from all those fights, at least for me. I find it much harder to react to those sweeps because the enemy might not stand in one place and then just move to the side, and it's just tough. So yeah, the inner Genichiro version, the first stage is a bit different, let's say. The lightning reversal is slightly harder because you have to react twice to it, not just once. Other than that, again, enemy stabbing, so we use Mikiri, so quick posture damage, and yeah, so this is the double lightning reversal that's needed to stun the enemy. So if you are really low on HP, so that might be problematic, because even though you are deflecting, you still receive some damage. And even though that Sakura dance also works, you see. A really good design of the boss. Completely whiffed my Sakura dance deflection. But I can wait time until the Genichiro dances out there alone and just heal up, although it did not help much. Got a great design boss. And yeah, so also that moveset when he tries to hit around 7 hits, yeah, you should learn that too. It's quite a good combo, and since you will see Genichiro quite often, so yeah, it would be good for you to learn that combo and timing too. So in the Genichiro Conquered, now 2 more inner versions of the bosses. So there will be Father, Inner Father, and Inner Sword Saint. So yeah, Inner Father for me is by far the hardest boss in this whole Mortal journey. So yeah, 13 bosses down, 2 more to go. If I would die to any of those bosses twice, why I say twice is because after you die once, you can resurrect using your dragon, the divine blood heritage, whatever, that law. So yeah, after you die twice, then you're back from the starting point and you have to start all over again. Now this boss is particularly the hardest boss for me. Again, I'm not really sure how it is for you folks if you played it, but for me it's the hardest by far, because I already know Ishin's moveset, but this boss, I mean, it always makes me nervous, especially when I killed 13 bosses and then have to contend with this one. and I have no second chances. So I usually played a few times, at least 3 or 4 times, try to, you know, play just exclusively him. After you get the purification gauntlet, then you can actually fight against this enemy whenever you want. So this is how I trained. Otherwise it's really tough boss. Even first stage is trouble, but the second, I mean, it's unbelievable. So this is the hardest boss for me. Again, harder than the final boss, at least for me. So pretty, you can't stand next to him because he's very mobile, and that's a problem. You can't really fight, and you know, all the time you have to wait for my timing, and that's you know, a bit excruciatingly painful, especially if you're low on HP and enemies hit like a truck, and you'll just sickle them. As I said, I'm using the blunt sword. It appears so. Yeah, like a peasant, because my hits did not deliver damage at all. Yeah, so far it's going okay. Again, some unblockable moves that I only need to parry, and now all those teleporting hits. I mean, that's just incredibly hard, especially when they chain it together like 3 or 4 in a row. And that's how I died the first time to this boss. So I only have 1 health left. If I die, I'll have to start over again. So we have to... I tried to use the special item that you can use, the Jesus statue. What that means that they replenish your resurrection, so you can get additional chance. But for some reason it's not working now. I'm not really sure why. But yeah, that's what it is. So I tried a few times, didn't work. Let's power up and let's continue fighting the enemy. Try to reduce it. So again, it's only first stage. I already lost 1 health. And yeah, there's still a mountain to climb to finish this enemy. Also some misclicks. You see that on the right side. I receive additional interface. That's just me panicking and running around and misclicking on my controller. Yeah, I play Sekiro with a controller. I think this is the way to go. But with Chivalry, no, it's definitely with a keyboard. So yeah, slowly chipping at the enemy. Again, blunt sword against the enemy who can 2-shot me. It's not really good. But I'm pretty familiar with its moveset. It's quite similar to the one before, but now you see all those teleports, they always get me off guard. I sort of want to run away, heal, and then you know, try to reset. My also posture damage on the bottom of the screen is quite high, so I have to reset that too, so I can block just in case I've mistimed my parries. Luckily, enemy is quite high in posture damage, so should go down. So that's good for me. At least 1 pip is gone. However, the second stage of this enemy is even harder than the first. Again, this is the hardest boss for me. So by far, it's... I mean, I'm panicking quite a bit. Because I see that I have only 5 healing gourd uses. And I have still a mountain to climb to get rid of all that HP. However, I made the finishing blow to the enemy, so my resurrection was reset as well. But still, I mean, enemies very healthy, like 100% HP. Also those hits that I'm not familiar with. So yeah, pretty challenging. Again, this is for me the hardest boss. Again, also reason is because I don't face him too much. Now I do spam the blocking in an attempt to do the parry. Now they go roll down from the finishing blow from the enemy. Again, very challenging. I have only 4 gold users, enemy is still almost 800 HP, 100% HP. Which is again difficult for me to top that. Just watching at the menu, trying to find out if I have any other additional healing items. Just in case. You see, I deliver enemy like chipping damage only. Really low amount of damage. But enemy does stab, so I can Mikiri counter, which is good. Again, it's a godsend. Although that's not efficient because enemy regains posture quite quickly. And you see that spam of all those teleports and then hits. And through all that exchange, I delivered one hit, and that did around 3% of enemy damage. Again, not particularly fair, is it? Again, Sekiro's weapon is blunt, as I said already, multiple times. And the enemy does have a really sharp sword. It can 2 or 3 shot me. So, yeah. And as all those teleports also messing the cameras, I'm not sure where the enemy is, so I have to reselect them again. Oh, additional fighting not just against the enemy, but against the camera too. The enemy doing the stabs. Unfortunately, this time the Mikiri was not close enough to the enemy. Still, no matter. Enemy is halfway through burning his posture. However, I have only 1 healing gourd usage left, which is really terrible at this stage, because I would need to restart and do all that gauntlet from the start. So really tense situation. And now I have only 1 healing gourd usage left, and I'll be using it quite soon. So yeah, enemy still has doesn't show a sign of weakness, so that he's surrendering. And I also lost my other health, so I died twice already. However, because I used the finishing blow, I was able to reset the healing, the dying counter. So I now use the Jizo statue just in case I die again, so I can be resurrected. An enemy does stab, so I can do Mikiri, so that also again helps me. Enemy almost through his posture. Still, with that camera burning on the right side, it's pretty hard to react. Almost died here too. Perfect parry, by the way. No HP at all. I don't have any healing items, so I can use the sugar that improves my attack chances anyway, because I can't heal anyway. So let's do that. Enemy decides to do a stab, and that saves me, because I'm pretty good at Mikiri countering this particular move, which was very helpful and actually life-saving. So 13, and that's a 14th boss also gone. So we have only 1 last boss left, which is Inner Ishin. So it's not particularly much harder than the previous version of a final boss, except it does those interesting black donuts that you can counter with specific use of prosthetics. However, we'll not do that, we'll just escape. On that, I'm not sure why I'm not full HP. I'm not sure, so need to quickly try to heal up before I try to engage. But yeah, other than that, now this is the donuts. Yeah, so you see I'm escaping, not using combat arts or prosthetics. And then moveset is like 80% identical to the previous version of the Shin. Also those stabs are pretty good to counter, also breaks posture in no time. So yeah, it's much easier to do this than to just simply cheese the enemy. It's much quicker. So yeah, if you have to choose, just learn the moveset and then you can counter every time and not be dependent on luck. So yeah, second stage of this enemy again is the hardest one as in previous version, because on first stage he uses lightning and I can do lightning reversals, which is a godsend. That just removes so much HP from the enemy. However, if I have time, I'll try to use as much as I can other items to ensure I'm saving healing gourds just in case. Also, when you do mortal draw on the enemy, just probably just do it once, otherwise he is sometimes recovering from the first hit and then you are letting the enemy hit you. Or just use prosthetics like firecrackers and then deliver mortal draw. Yeah, also additional moveset is when he jumps in the air and tries. Now this is a moveset that's only available for Inner Ishin. You could potentially do a Mikiri count on that. However, I'm not. He has some 2 variations of it, so I just try not to do that. Just put some distance. Oh yeah. So again, you see enemy recovered from mortal draw and they just delivered damage to me. However, when he tries to do some combos, very often they end up with stabs. And for stabs we have a Mikiri counter. So yeah, this is another variation that you cannot actually do stabbing with counter with Mikiri. And that enemy is already halfway through its posture and also HP, so that's helpful. Again, combo finished up with stabs, so use that and abuse if you can. And now a moveset that is not a stab, so you cannot abuse that. Whiff of mortal draw, things happen. Yeah, and that again need to break his posture. It seems like posture will go first. If you do, especially Mikiri counters. But you see, that's a combo that's different from the previous version of Ishin. When he shoots 4 times with his pistol, he then proceeds to slash instead of stab. So that's a bit off-putting. It delivers damage, not fatal, but it delivers. So if I would be half HP, I would have died. Other than that, just wait until his combo finishes with stab and then just proceed with Mikiri counter. Which is really a great move to counter all the stabs, perilous stabs. And the last stage, as I said, it's easier than the second, because enemy just gimps himself by giving us lightning reversal. That means enemy is already 2/3, 1/3 of HP away from dying. So yeah, just additionally gimps itself by giving us the lightning hits, so we can abuse that. If not, then just build up, try to you know, increase the posture damage by deflects, and Mikiri counters the stabs if possible. Otherwise, just wait until the enemy makes a crucial mistake of using lightning, because you know how to counter it. Sometimes due to that mortal draw, I could not use the reverse, but that's okay. Things happen. Already down to 4 last uses of healing hula. However, enemy gimps himself by again additional attacking with lightning hit, and we know how to counter that. Enemy is on his last legs. Again, additional lightning reversal. Again, my mistake of doing a second mortal draw hit. So I have to heal back. Maybe I thought of using Jesus statue, but probably won't be necessary. Just wanted to be safe, again, not because I'm afraid of this boss, it's just that this is the last boss. And just don't want to start the mortal journey from the start. That's it. An enemy tries to stab, again this is when we abuse him. And just do Mikiri. Yeah, so enemy almost dead. Just try to dance around, but that's not a problem for us. Some lightning reversal again. Oh yeah, enemy on his last legs, and now he's soon to join Valhalla. Although again, the design of the enemy and this arena too is incredible. A good donut, and that's when the enemy dies. So yeah, this is the Mortal Journey Gauntlet of Sekiro. An amazing game. Last 2 cents from me. So if you are new to this game and just start playing, just learn the mechanics of the game and then just proceed to destroy everyone instead of cheesing the bosses. So you can say I did it 15-0. So usually in Chivalry, if I Chivalry 2, if I score less than 30 kills, I consider it a bad match. Well, in this case it's only 15, but I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. So thank you for watching. See you next time.